Welcome to the very first episode of the Downtown Royalty Podcast.
If you check out the link in the description below, it has all the social medias and content you can follow. We appreciate a like and a share. Also, stream our music. It's on all platforms. It's a lot to go through, so you can make a day out of it. You know, share it with a loved one.
We got Jerry Hughes on the podcast with us this time. And he's our very good friend and brother, and we also respect his time. We're grateful for it and his candor.
And without any further ado,
the Downtown Royalty Podcast.
So, welcome to the very first podcast, the Downtown Royalty Podcast. And
welcome. Yeah, man.
There's no better person for us to have on than my very good friend, Jerry Hughes. Jerry.
Appreciate that, my man.
For those who don't know Jerry, he's one of my very good friends. I've known him for a very long time. And more importantly, you know, Jerry has been through a lot of the ups and downs in life that I feel like mirror my own. And oftentimes, you know, people are so ready to jump in on, you know, the successes other people have and praise them when they're up and then tear them down when they're down. And I just think that Jerry is a very special person. And I think you bring value to our conversation we're about to have.
Appreciate that, my man.
So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
He makes a hell of a taco too.
Yeah, man. That's why I'm really here.
That's right.
That's why we didn't order pizza. I know what's going on.
He put extra meat in mine.
I'm headed to the kitchen when I'm done.
We'll get a little kitchenette for you to work on next time.
That's right.
That's funny. For everyone that doesn't know, Jerry graciously let us stay at his place last time we went to the studio down in Fort Worth Sound.
It was a stay, man. Watched hockey. What else did we do? We just sat around, chatted.
Had some of the best conversation I've had.
Talked
Yeah, me too.
With some grown men in a long time.
Yeah, actual depth and real conversation. Yeah, it was nice.
Man. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
It's 2026. It's a brand new start for a lot of people. And I'm excited to sit in a room with you guys and just talk about whatever. I know everybody's got their own story. Everybody's got their own worldview, life experiences, and, you know, just my personal experience with Jerry. I just love talking with you, man. I want to hear the next thing that you have to say, so I'm just excited that you're here.
Appreciate it. It's an honor to be asked by you guys. You guys all know a lot of people, so to have the invitation and to come on, especially just with an important topic for just so many people in life, just how to hang in there and how to try to overcome things. It's an honor, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting to me is a lot of people, maybe even around here or just in general, might know you as, you know, the guy that brought the Wichita Falls Nighthawks here to Wichita. And, you know, I think the thing that's more compelling and more interesting to me is to see someone who's faced a tremendous amount of adversity, as of I myself, and to see how you not only go through this, you know, not meteoric rise, but a rise where, you know, you're celebrated just to, you know, kind of go down. And when you go down into these valleys, you often find yourself alone. And I think that's where a lot of, you know, reflection comes from and a lot of personal growth. And so I think one of the most compelling things about, you know, you and all of us sitting in here right now is like this particular business that we're in it's a grind, man. You know, I mean, people see us play on stage and it's like, you know, it's like the 1%. You know, it's like the 1% of the time.
Look at all that fun.
Yeah. They get to see us rocking out and having a blast, but like there's this like whole iceberg underneath and it's like full of rejection. You know, it's full of, you know, clerical tasks, administrative tasks, you know, just, you know, everyone's got their own schedule and you're lining things up and you're all communicating and, you know, then sometimes you get to write, sometimes you get to play music, but, you know, there's so much, you know, so much of a grind that goes into this thing that oftentimes, you know, you can find yourself reflecting like, you know, what was I put on this earth to do? And, you know, for me personally, I've kind of found that it's not so much like a task, but it's a character.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't put on this earth to, you know, do anything. I was put on this earth to be a very specific kind of person. So, you know, going through some of the things you've been through, for example, like, you know, when you, let's say, started like the Wichita Falls Nighthawks, you know, you had brought Joe Montana to Wichita Falls. You brought Tim Tebow to Wichita Falls. And, you know, you got a lot of love around town. Interesting side note is, you know, when me and Jerry first met, it was a long time ago. And, you know, it's really funny to me to be like a dude in his early 20s at the time and have this guy who like runs a football team just like hand you the keys to like make some videos and and let's, you know, just do whatever, man. And it was really funny and a really good time. But, you know, there's a flip side to every coin. And so when you went through the season transitioning out of having the Nighthawks, you know, what was it like to you to go from, you know, here to here? And then, you know, what gave you the confidence to go like, you know what, I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to work on myself. You know, I'm going to be this kind of person.
I think it's just, it's always been my mindset to start is I've never been afraid of failure, because when you really look at life, it's a lot like my walk and a lot of people's walk with God himself. Like in the highs, there's too many times I've been like, oh, I got it from here. Yeah, I got this figured out. And growth kind of stops happening because it's easy to tell yourself that maybe you have it figured out. So, you know, I'm never going to be afraid of something that I know ultimately ends up being a season where I learn more about myself, who I am, and always grow in a positive direction and closer to God in those moments. So, you know, if that's the way you see failure, it's really hard to be afraid of it at that point.
What did you learn about yourself?
I think through a lot of those times, I've just learned the resilience that I have, and that, you know, we live in a world where, you know, I have two sons, and I teach them all the time that you want to have a warrior mentality. Like, God put you on this earth for fight or flight. And that's just like the two instincts, right? And so I think anytime I see those things in my life, it's just a challenge. And overcoming a failure is a success in and of itself. And so, you know, it's the ability to get back up and try again. So it's just always been my drive that if I'm actively pursuing something or doing something, a failure isn't, I don't ever look at as this life-ending thing where that's who I was. No matter how much I give to something, you know, I'm always going to be a dad first. I'm always going to be pursuing God more than whatever I was pursuing that everyone else saw. So at the end of the day, it's not who I am. So if I lose it or it fails, I can live with it. I'll be fine.
Yeah, I think one of like the big things that I learned, you know, because I've been a bit of a polarizing person, you know.
I mean, agreed. That's why I gave you the keys to all the videos. I was like, just do your thing.
You know, it's like, you know, people can and will craft a narrative about you.
Yeah.
And the onus is on you, whether or not you want to live that life. You know, you can accept that title and you can become whatever it is that people want, you know, to paint you as. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like, dude, no one really fucking cares. You know, like, the only people that really give a fuck are the people who are, like, directly in your circle. And, you know, when you have a tight-knit circle like I do, then, you know, you use these periods where, you know, you're isolated and you're alone to just, like, you know, you just reflect back on, like, you know, what is that my character? You know, just because someone says something doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
And so, you know, oftentimes, you know, in that struggle, I've found that, you know, I get to decide that, you know, I can be the person I want to be. And like, so like, what does that look like for me? You know, like I want to be that person who, you know, I want that ball when this, you know, the clock is ticking, you know, 2, 1. Like I want to be the one to take that shot, because if everything fails because I missed, I can live with that.
Yeah.
But if I'm the one sitting over there, you know, watching that person take the shot, you know, I would feel absolutely gutted. And it's that, you know, that air and that mantra of just like personal responsibility. I don't want to be, as they would say in like the pilot community, the limiting factor. You know, I don't never want to be the ceiling upon which all of these other people around me are held back because of me. And if I own the, you know, title someone else places on me, you know, that I'm this or that I'm that, or I did this or I did that, then like all they wish for me to do is just to lay down and die. You know, and I can give them that gift.
Yeah.
Or I could say, nah, fuck that, dude. You know, I'm going to be the person I am, and I'm going to invest in the people around me who love me, and, you know, we're going to build something really special, and we're going to be, you know, special people. So that's what it requires.
Adversity. Yeah.
Story of triumph, right?
Yes, man. I had a chance to sit down and talk with my nephew, and for somebody so young, he really imparted a whole lot of wisdom. I remember he said this, and this was around Christmas time, this last year. That's crazy to say already. But he said this phrase. He said, "Do it afraid." You know, like if you've got some reservation about approaching something that's going to be really freaking difficult, and that's a season of life that I'm in right now, and I could have really used that advice a long time ago, but just do it afraid. You may be kind of shy and timid about trying to get that new job, or stepping into a season of life where you're going to spend a lot of time by yourself, or you don't have the teammates you thought you would, or your friends left, or whatever your scenario is. But if you have that fear that says, I just want to lay down and die, you know, that's going to define you, and you don't want to be defined by your failure. But you want to really overcome it and stand in the maker's fire, is what I call it. Like, you know, God sometimes puts us in tough positions, or rescues us and frees us from crazy positions, but ultimately He's got your back, and it's the maker's fire. When you come out of that, out of a crimson fire, still brave and untouched by the flame, you know, you're better off for just going ahead and doing that difficult task afraid. And I needed that advice this past Christmas.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Adversity, dude.
From the mouth of babes.
Yeah.
And not the cool kind.
You don't want to look back and all your no's be yeses and your yeses have been your no's.
No, man. It's tough to overcome sometimes, because you have to overcome the feeling of the predicament that you're in. Some people are overcoming terrible injuries. Went through that last year. Had an Achilles tendon completely snap, and had to have surgery to have that put back together, and life's just not the same. Being 6 months out of work. Some people are going through divorce. Some people are going through some of the toughest seasons of their life by losing a job that they've had for years and they can't provide. But I'm encouraged by something that you said, is do the next right thing.
That's right, yeah.
And I mean, if you can look at the whole stairwell and be discouraged by how mountainous it may seem. But if you take things one step at a time, and you know, how do you eat an elephant?
That's right.
You said.
One bite at a time.
So I mean, that's kind of, I tend to lean back on some of those thoughts when I think about overcoming that adversity. And you know, I don't know what all you've gone through in your life, Jerry, but I'm sure we're going to learn on this podcast.
Well, some of the advice that I give people that is probably one of the most confusing that I actually give initially to people is, in a conversation like this, the thing that you don't hear is people look at you and say, humble yourself. I'm being humbled. What are you talking about? I'm humbled. Do you see where I'm at? Yeah, I see where you're at. But what I mean by that is we like to think about it, humbling ourselves, like if we're successful, if we're rich, if we're succeeding, if we're this, or we've got this kind of lifestyle, that's when you humble yourself. No, you can humble yourself in hard times too, because at the end of the day, one of the main ways that I can survive anything that the enemy wants to throw at me is, at the end of the day, my mind always goes back to Jesus. And I mean, the world wants to paint him as meek, and what they attach meekness to is weakness.
Oh, yes.
No, the difference is meekness is you are a lion, you just choose not to devour someone. There's a big difference in those two. And he was the original warrior. You can point at lots of people and, to know that he was sweating blood from that level of just understanding what was coming to being on the cross to all. You want to talk about someone who was talked about, misunderstood. So I always go back to Jesus, and why I say humble yourself is when people get in a routine of a pity party, humble yourself, okay? The world isn't about you. It's not just about when it's good. The world's not about you when it's bad either. And Jesus endured more than you ever will. There's people on the planet that are enduring more than you are at this moment. So it's just one of those things that's like, at the end of the day, we all have struggles.
Yeah.
And if we would just back up and people would be a little more or a little less selfish about their approach to their own issues, you'd see a lot more helping hands. Absolutely. But that's not what we have.
I also think a lot of times we just like have this like uncontrollable desire to like understand why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're going through like a divorce like I have and many of us have,
me too.
If you're going through a custody battle like I have, and
me
like
too.
many other people have, if you're going through, being slandered like I have and many other people have,
that happens.
You can sit there and you can be like, why is all this happening? And like one of my favorite things is like, sometimes I'll like watch a movie and like, it has nothing to do with like this, like not like kind of stoic concept, but like this one line stands out to me. And like, have you ever seen the movie Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard that.
Great movie, right? It's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
And so like, there's the scene where like Jack Burton is like, he's like in the chair, and like David Lopan gets wheeled out in the little wheelchair, and he's like 900 years old, and he's like, wait, who's this guy? And I'm like, that's David Lopan. He's like, wait, I don't get it. Who, David Lopan, that guy's 9 feet tall and, whatever. And he says, you were not put on this planet to get it, Mr. Burton. And like, that just fucking stuck in my head, man. Cause like, sometimes I'll be sitting there, or you'll be going through a predicament and you'll be like, I just don't get it. And it's like, dude, understanding and accepting the fact that like, you were not put on this fucking planet to get it. Like, it is not, you do not get some divine level of understanding or knowledge when you're going through a difficult time. Like, that shit comes after. Like, for me personally.
The wisdom.
For me personally, man, like, sometimes it's good to do like a personal inventory of your life. And I look back at like the 2025 year for me, and it's like, I'm 33. So when I was, 31 even, let's say, to tell me that, I would be, married to my wife, who's literally an absolute fucking rock star, to gain, 2 more kids into my family, to get pregnant with my 5th fucking kid, like
Congratulations, by
thank
the way.
you, yeah, to move out on a brand new house on 6 acres in the fucking country, man, like to have this life, to have a decent fucking job, to be with literally my fucking brothers making music, and to have friends like you. It's like when I was 31, none of that fucking shit was on the radar. None of it. So every now and then it's good to just like look back, and it's like, if I gave up hope when I was 29 or 30 or 31 or whatever, I had no idea what the fuck was in store for me in just a couple of years. And let's go back 10 years. I'm 23 years old. I didn't fucking know any of this shit existed. It was not the faintest fucking concept to me at all. But, you know, I just fundamentally understood, like, there's one thing that, you ever watch someone do something and you're like, and they're great. You know, like, it's like, you know, watching Michael Jordan, dude. You just watch the guy and you're like, it's the kind of person who, you know, inspires an entire generation of people just because of the way that he conducts himself, both on and off the court, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's this concept of like greatness, you know, and to me, it's not a tactile thing, you know, because that's all, you know, you can talk about stats or this or that, but like, who's the greatest drummer who ever lived? That's fucking anyone's opinion. You know, who's the greatest guitar player? It's like, that's, anyone can create their own list, and you know, any person, you know, but it's like, every now and then, you know, someone shows up on the scene and it's like, that's the guy. And because they have this magnetism about them. And, you know, what is it to you? What are like the core characteristics of what being, you know, great looks like to you?
I mean, I think it starts with knowing who you are. And it's not about an arrogant type of know yourself. It's to know yourself at your core, and the thing that separates you is when you don't care about all those opinions, when they don't faze you. And that's what it's one of the things that removes the biggest fear factor for people, is what will people say, what will people think? Why does it matter? Why does it matter? People spend so much time, and today more than ever, because they're worried about a comment on social media. There's people that even are worried why someone did not like something that normally likes it. I mean, it's just this huge game, and the deal is at the end of the day, those people are never going to find themselves.
No.
And, you know, when you look, the most driven people as far as understanding what they're about, who they are, again, go back to Jesus. He could have had the 5,000 that follow him everywhere. I mean, you know, this is a Forrest Gump moment. Right. I mean, when he's running, like, it's just everyone's following everywhere. He had 12.
Right.
And it's, the deal is, again, and you and I have talked about this, when you're secure, you don't need a big group, because you are never looking for someone to pat you on the back or tell you who you are.
Right.
You know who you are. And it's not just the positives about yourself. You also know your weaknesses.
Right.
You also know your failures. And the deal is you've also conquered those and understand those. Yeah. And to me, that's where true strength comes from. Everybody feels brave when things are great. That's easy.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you are alone, what did you do?
Right.
Did you look into that darkness and understand the enemies behind it and go, let's do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Round whatever it is, I'm ready to go again.
Right.
And, you know, I oftentimes draw personal strength from looking at King David's life, because so often in today's world of religion and judgment, you see so many people have things to say, and, you know, people want to say, you know, if you say you're a Christian and they know you made a mistake, they're not a Christian.
Right.
Okay. And King David, you know, I mean, the deal is he struggled with what a lot of men have struggled with in life. I've struggled with it, which is just sexual immorality.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, he takes it to the point, he kills her husband.
Right.
So, but then he's also called a man after God's own heart. And, you know, I can't tell everyone what the exact reasoning is, this or that, but oftentimes to me is because no matter where David led himself, which I've been guilty of in my life, of just, you know, I love God and I want to pursue him, but then I'm a human being and a man, and then I end up pursuing what I wanted to pursue. But at the end of the day, David always turned back. And no matter what could happen in my life, I think the greatest confidence I have is that no matter what anyone or anything could put me through, it's me versus the devil himself in those moments. And there's nothing that you can do where I won't look at him and say, do whatever you want to do, but I'm not turning my back on God. Like, and that's the one staple that I have in my life that there's no yield whatsoever. And so
It's a piece of greatness.
Yeah, I have this thing in me that I always know I have one direction no matter what. And that brings a huge level of confidence in myself as far as what I can take on, because again, I'm not alone in it, and I know what the battle's all about anyways. And so I think it's just a mindset thing. I think the difference in greatness and weakness it's a mindset. Mm-hmm. It's how you see tough times. It's how you see trials and tribulations.
I like how Jesus viewed greatness. Like, if he was who he said he was, and he did what he did, then to me he truly was great, because he viewed greatness as the person who was willing to serve themselves last and in a position of like a supporting role to make the team better, make everyone better. And so I feel like someone who says, or lives out their life in such a way that proclaims even your enemies like wash their feet, like even the person who is going to do you wrong, turn the other cheek. I know that rhymes. It probably sounds like a song.
You're rapping, dude.
We're here.
He's rapping.
You're right.
No, but that just, it's the opposite. It's like flip flop. The first will be last, the last will be first. Like the supporting, those who seek to be the greatest are the ones who are the lead servants, the ones who want to be last, essentially. And that really resonates with me, because you have all these people out in the world who are striving towards their idea of greatness, whether that's money, cars, influence, power, whatever that entails for them. But the way that Jesus, the way that God approaches things is just the opposite. And you don't have to have riches, earthly riches and money and silver and gold, but you can be rich and humility and love and peace and patience and kindness, faithfulness and self-control. Like those are the things that are truly valuable to humanity. But yet everybody's after this idea of greatness that affords for them what? Things you cannot bring past the grave.
Yeah. I think men need to also remember today, though, those are all good points, but Jesus was also stern.
Yeah, facts.
That's what people forget.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the perfect examples, and it goes to what you're talking about, is slander and people, and how people worry about that. And what are the deal is when Jesus went to Nazareth and he went home and he preached, they tried to throw him off of a cliff. That's what they wanted. They wanted to kill him. He never went back. People waste their time. Even Jesus knew this is a waste of time.
It's time.
Right.
So when people have opinions of you, don't lose a second worth of sleep over it. Just move on. It's not worth your time. Even the Son of God made it a very clear example that I'm not going to waste my time. You don't want to hear. And so, people spend so much of their life trying to prove themselves or prove this wrong or prove themselves right. For what?
Right.
For what?
A good friend of ours had mentioned the other day, and we were just making conversation, me and Mike, with a friend of ours, and he said, man, believe the good things people say about you. Like people do like you. Like, so you are a good person. You do have good things going for you. You need to believe those things.
Right.
And don't worry about the bad things people say, because it doesn't matter.
Shout out to
Good things do matter.
Man.
The good things are meant to to help you realize you're doing the right things. You know, I mean, you shouldn't have to wait for it. You shouldn't ask for it. You shouldn't accept, prepare. You should just know if you're doing the right things. People are going to appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, believe it when somebody tells you you're a kind person. You know?
You need to remember who you are, but also who you aren't, and why you stand behind what you stand behind. You know, it's just like that. We talked about this a little before we started. You know, setting boundaries and relationships and situations can create a whole world that you never thought was even possible in so many ways. And just because you were strong enough to stand up and say, no, I don't like this, I don't want to do that, or I need this for myself. You know, creating those boundaries also creates clarity in your life, and you know who you are, you know who you're not, and you know why you do what you do, and you do it with a reason, and you do it with persistence.
Well, and that's what we should do as men. You got to stand on principles. Like the song that plays in my head over and over is just when I was little, and my dad listened to country music, and it's, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Facts, yeah.
It's just the truth. Like, you have to have those things that you stand for, and it's not, and people want to call out your mistakes. And the funny thing is, if they would just look, why do I want to do that? It's simple. It's the one thing we all have in common. Yeah. We all make mistakes. The person judging you makes their mistakes. I mean, how many times have you guys seen on social media or some ridiculous site like rants and raves and you have this person ripping into, but that person.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, whoa. Let's just hope that your stuff does not end up on here, because I wonder how many, but you know what I mean? It's just, and what we lack in today's world is just empathy for people. That they're fighting things, that people are a product of environments and the way they were raised and things they've been exposed to, and it's just, it's when Jesus ran into the woman at the well, she was married 5 times, but you don't think he had understanding of what if she was hurt by one yeah, he does. He knows those things, and that's why he judges heart, and the world wants to judge you off of your quote unquote actions, but that's not even what they want to judge you off. They want to judge you off your mistakes, not your actions, because if it was your actions as a whole, then like you said, they judge the good too. But they drop that, and they want to hang on to those things that say, see,
look,
I mean, we can all do that. And I remember your dad one time, he said, if you call someone something long enough, watch them become it.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 16 years ago probably, but again, like you and I have discussed, I don't need somebody that's a billionaire or has this level of success, blah, blah, blah. Good advice and good word and life lessons, they come from all over the place. And so, I mean, I've heard them from you. I heard them from all of you that night that we talked in my house. Mm-hmm. We all have good advice because we've all chose to learn from things that we would all consider unfortunate in our lives. But at the end, taught us.
One of the most important things about it is like surrounding yourself with people that want to see you successful, want to see what your version of success is. Because everybody's different. Mine's different from Mike's, is different from Joe's, is different from Mark's, is different from yours. And I think that when you put yourself in a room, and you, just as you were saying, when you tell somebody something enough, they become that. Yeah. And I think we were, particularly in this group, really good about leaning into that at times and saying, "Hey, dude, you're the best damn guitar player. I'm so happy with the work that we do together. Let's go on to the next thing. I can't wait to see what you do next, man." Like those kind of conversations are the ones that motivate us to get back into it, to finish this damn studio so we can get after it. Like those are the things that I get really excited about having the friendships that I do in my life now. I would say I have a few people outside of this room that mean the absolute world to me, that have taught me so much along the way, and I'm so fortunate to have a big family of people that absolutely love me and absolutely want to see me be successful the way that I see it. I love that.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting to me because like sometimes it's very true, man. Like if you're around someone who's got good and bad things to say, right? You can become any one of those things, but I think one of the most important things is, you really ultimately will become what you tell yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, sometimes for me, man, like, I feel like I'm just kind of like, not off in my own little world, but like, I've been through a lot of fucking bullshit, man. And it affects me zero. I take, it's really interesting because, like, if you get in the business of accepting praise, then you also have to be in the business of accepting people's criticism, right? And so for me, man, I've just found myself in this world where it's just like, people say nice things about me, that's great, I guess. It just kind of like, it doesn't really impact me because there's only really one person whose opinion matters to me, and it's me. Sometimes I find myself like a Dirk Diggler, in Boogie Nights, where he's like standing in the mirror, and he's like, I'm a bright and shining diamond. Sometimes, dude, bro, like, I've been through, even, it's funny because, like, I gave you the mental inventory of my past year, and those are the good things. But I've also been through a litany of fucking horrible things. But guess what? Who fucking cares, man? Yeah. It happened. So the fuck what? Who gives a fucking shit? Not me. Because, like, the way I look at these things is just like, well, better me than anyone else. I can handle these things, man. Like, I want to succeed despite adversity. Not, because I had every advantage in the world. To me, the payoff of succeeding, and like, it's like a super philosophical question. It's like, what does succeeding look like?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
What is
success?
Yeah, what does being great look like? And to me, the reason why Michael Jordan had such a pull wasn't because he was the greatest basketball player to walk up the court. It's because he did all of the work right here, that he believed in himself so much that everyone, like, there's no denying his confidence. Like, I want the shot, give it to me, and I'm gonna be fucking pissed if it's not me. And in the same way, it's like, it's not arrogance, it's confidence. It's like, man, many people have tried to bury me, and if I let their fucking bad opinions affect me, even in this past year, even in the past fucking 10 years, dude, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So, like, give me more. Well, give me more of that fucking shit.
That's because that's a Warriors ethos. That's what it is. Like, when you look at Jordan, LeBron, when you start to name names, what is the argument that people make? If you look at what people, push greatness to, it's always the same thing. Whether it's the defenses or this or that. In other words, at the end of the day, it is how strong was their opposition.
Exactly right.
How strong was their opposition? Because that is the measure of strength. What you overcome? And this is the deal. Everyone loves, everyone loves, quote unquote, the underdog story. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's the same thing, because everything that they had to overcome to get there. That's really what everyone loves about it, because at the end of the day, that's the true measure of a warrior.
Right. Wow. Agreed.
Yeah.
David's story is not he defeated the little guy or threw it at the king himself. No, he took down a giant.
Or even he took down the giant and then he lived happily ever after.
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't the fucking. And it's interesting to me because oftentimes I find, like, you find someone's true character when they go through adversity.
Oh, 100%.
That's like one of the big things to me, like, when I got back on the dating scene, was like, I had the pleasure of picking all of my own poisons in my life. What kind of shit do I want to come home to, man? Like, what kind of person do I want to be around? What kind of person do I want to raise my kids and kids with?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, I want to see how they handle adversity. I want to see what kind of person they are through that adversity. And then through that, like, dude, anyone can be fucking pleasant and optimistic when things are going great. Mm-hmm. Who fucking cares, man? Like, it has to hold up to scrutiny.
Everyone's happy on vacation, right?
Yeah. And also, everyone's happy on social media. And guess what, dude? They fucking are not in real life. Everyone's got their own fucking shit. Everyone's got their own problems. But at the same time, like, you have to be strong here. You have to be strong here. And, you only learn, once again, anyone can talk about fucking mental fortitude and how tough they are and, X, Y, and Z, or how virtuous they are, or how humble they are, or anything, until the fucking rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
Until they have a fucking weight and a pressure bearing down on them. It's like, because then your true colors are going to show. You can't fucking hide. Yeah. Like, we could sit here, if I never met you, we could sit here and talk for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you could bullshit me. But if we sat here and we talk for 2 hours, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that weight is going to start bearing down, man. Like, you can't fucking hide. And once again, dude, it's like, you know, I remember when I was training martial arts, there's this scenario that was posed, right? And it's like, okay, you know, it's like the dude grabbed him by the fucking neck or whatever, and he's like, okay, you're in this position, what do you do next? And every other student in the class was like, what I would do is I would fucking step back, I would do that, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And then he's like going around there, person, okay, neat. And then at the end, he's like, okay, well, you know what I would do? And he's like, I'd fucking choke him and throw him on the, like, I'm the attacker.
Yeah.
You've automatically assumed the position of the person being choked. In my mind, I'm the one choking. Like, it's a really interesting scenario when you see two people standing there and it's like, what would you do in this position? Like, you automatically take the position of the person being choked.
Well, the best way to get there, though, is what most people don't want to do in today's world, and that's, you have to understand that you're never the victim.
Yeah, very true.
You always had a hand in where you're at.
Yeah, very true.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean
How
it's
come that
fair.
never happens to me?
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's fair. Life isn't fair. Like, that's something we tell our kids at a very young age. Life isn't fair, buddy. Get up, dust yourself off. I mean, we teach that from the get-go. And so at the end of the day, you just have to understand that this is just how life works. You're going to have issues. There's going to be problems. There is going to be struggles. And why people are so shocked by it, I don't know. Like, Jesus promised us that this is what trials and tribulations, and tribulations. He was like, it's not going to be, every day's not going to be Disneyland, okay? Calm down.
It's really, so we've been like kind of going through, what does it look like to persevere? And what does it look like to have, to have your character refine in a process of, kind of turbulent times and whatever that may look like. I think a really interesting thing to talk about would be, what brings you hope? Because I think, one of the like the meta narratives, if you will, of why people watch, for example, like the underdog, right? Like, why we root for the underdog? It's because we're anthropomorphizing them into us. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the story where there is a way for you to win. Yep. So, like, what brings you hope?
Oh, I love that question.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's simple and it's true, even if it sounds cliche, and it's just God, and that's why that spirit inside of me is untouchable, because it's just not based on anything here. Yeah. Because it's just, the landscape in this world changes every second. And like you said, it's just like your life, 31 and 33.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what I mean? And the deal is some of the hardest times in my life have just built me through a fire. Mm-hmm. And I am much stronger when I come out. And I look at the world and I'm like, you have to do better than that now. Right. You really have to start up in the ante if you want to try to get to me. Yeah. And so, that is where my hope is, because it's constant. Right. And my hope is really that God puts me through whatever I need to be put through. My real hope, so that I leave this world behind, and I'm all the trials and tribulations that I faced here, they're long gone, and there'll never be another day of them.
No longer burdens.
What gives you hope, bro? It's been a little quiet on this side of the room today.
I think that, in the life that I've been given, I have experienced a lot of tough moments, that I've had no other choice but to pull through, and I think that realizing that there's people that count on me, that's one of the things that give me hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, there's people that love me.
Yeah.
I think that's my general focus for my hope, is my love for the people around me, including myself, of course.
Sure.
And that's come over time. Becoming an adult, becoming a grown man with the world on your shoulders at times really teach you to love yourself.
Facts. Yeah.
But I think, again, ultimately my strength and hope comes from the people I surround myself with, and how much I want to give them. That's something that drives me and pushes me to be hopeful in the future. If I put in the effort, if I put the things in front of me that matter, and I move just a little bit each day, even it ain't got to be these huge steps, a little bit each day in the right direction, that I'm gonna have the things that make me feel whole. I think that's the main thing that I strive with my hope, honestly. And I've seen it, even with running the restaurant. Like, I'm so hopeful that these people that are I've been fortunate enough to hire continue to grow. Not only at my restaurant, but as people, as individuals. Like, they grow outside of what I can offer them. Because unfortunately, in the business that I'm in, you can only do so much for people that until they're willing to grow outside of who they are, and there's some of their behaviors and some of their mentalities, that then they can grow and become this great thing. Like, I'm very hopeful for that. I'm hopeful for what I can give.
Yeah.
That drives my hope. That knowledge and love. And, like, those things are great.
Yeah.
That's hope.
Yeah. I feel super similar, because it's like I'm the easiest fucking person to fire up. You know what I mean? Dude,
let's go. Yeah,
I have never ever seen you get animated or anything.
In both the good and the bad. I'm pretty easy.
All I hear is my son, like, he's a chill guy.
I'm not a chill guy.
No,
not a chill guy, dude.
I think chill's great, but I think he's pretty chill.
Yeah, you'll learn, brother, man.
He's chilled out, bro. He's chill.
That's the thing. That's the thing for me, man. It's like, I believe in leading from the front. I believe in leading by example. And, to me, like, I don't and can't expect everyone to be me, because, like, Michael is not me. Michael is Michael. And Mark is not me. Mark is Mark. But when you see someone, like, when you look over at someone and they go, like, hey, man, despite any of the adversity and any of the odds against us, like, I'm in. Dude, my fucking, like, my heart rate starts going, dude. I'm like,
I'd work harder.
dude, the fucking adrenaline starts going. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, whatever it is, man. Because, 100% of people don't make it because they quit. And that's like
100%.
That's like particularly true in, like, our business, man. Like, we face a lot of fucking rejection. We face a lot of,
I've sent 90 emails.
Exactly.
Don't worry about that.
There's the rejection. There's the silence. There's the rumination. There's, like, like, I know we're fucking good, not in a fucking arrogant way. We're like, God damn, dude, like, we go up there and we tear the fucking house down. Everywhere we go, we burn the fucking place down. Like, and if you let yourself get bogged down in the fucking process.
I haven't found the right house yet, man.
Yeah, if you get yourself bogged down in the process, dude, like, the world will miss out on something very fucking special. And the funny thing, dude, the reality is, like, music is, like, it's a byproduct of our camaraderie.
Absolutely.
Music is the, like, the vocal expression of, like, the friendship and the love and the brotherhood that we have in this room. And so, to me, man, like, and anyone out there listening, if you're doing this shit, it's fucking hard, man. And it's definitely not for the fucking faint of heart. But at the same time, 100% of people don't make it because they quit. So don't fucking quit.
Get after
keep
it.
Fucking pushing.
Yeah.
And, and that's where it has paid dividends to me. To have, obviously friends like everyone in this room, but, particularly, you, because, Jerry's been on the fucking other end of some phone calls, man, where, like, my blood pressure's up, and I'm fucking, like, I know that there's, like, very few people in this world that I can talk to, outside of this fucking room that are, like, I know 100% have my back. And, Jerry's one of them, and, I got my dad and my brothers and that stuff, but, like, I just think, you're a very special dude.
Appreciate that, man.
We appreciate you being here.
Definitely have your back.
Really appreciate you being here, dude. And And, I think, the world needs more Jerry Hughes.
I completely agree, man. I've had nothing but the best time talking with you, and just you imparting wisdom on me and helping me understand and wrap my mind around some things about life, and then just getting a chance to talk about God is just such a refreshing thing.
Well, the truth is that, this is, even hearing that, it gets back to the whole point of this, is all of that stuff comes from my failures. I'm not, no one needs to make any mistake. I'm not tooting my own horn like, oh, I know it all because of this and that, and I've done it right. No, there's just been so many things that I've had to learn from by my own doing, and and again, it doesn't matter if someone quote unquote screwed you over, right? We all see those things coming before they happen.
Yeah, very true.
We do. So at the end of the day, when you admit that, you understand that ultimately your hand was in what happened.
Yeah,
Period.
You have to have some sort of level of accountability.
You do. Well, you do, and you actually, men should carry themselves with the highest level of accountability. Like, it's on you. It just is. And if you were talking about hope, that's where my hope is. But there's two very different things in my life. My hope is there because it keeps my eyes constant, but my motivating factor is I have two sons, and if I could have something said about me, is just Dad will fight. He will fight.
Exactly.
He will stand alone if that's what it takes.
He's not a quitter.
No.
Right.
No. So that motivates me, is that understanding that even if they don't see those things today, we all know how that is. You grow up and then you get put in your own situations and you're like, dang,
Yeah.
that he was a real one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Well, of course,
we
yeah.
realize those things through, again, our own experiences. And so that's what motivates me, is that no matter, and I think parents forget that too often, because you think your kids aren't paying attention because they're distracted with their own friend. They're paying attention. They are. They see it. They feel it. They understand it. They're just, they just don't voice it, like we are in here as grown men. That's the difference. But they will always grow to understand the dynamic that existed.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's, once again, that's one of the things that brings me hope and optimism as well. It's like, no matter what I go through, you know what I mean? No matter, what my personal life looks like, there's one thing that I can control, and that's the kind of person that I am. And, there's the old quote. It's like, if I have seen further, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants.
yeah.
And, my parents have had their issues and whatever, but, they were human.
Yeah, 100%.
My parents fucking rule, dude. They're like the
100%.
coolest. They're like the coolest, man. And my dad is such
I won't disagree with that.
my dad is
they
such
have
a-
my vote.
Yeah, my dad's such a mammoth of, wealth of information and wisdom. And
Oh my gosh, for real.
And my mom is like, it's such a personal rock star from like person to person. It's like, she's everyone's fucking mom. But, that's like the thing for me, and the goal for me is just like, what kind of shoulders do I want my children to stand on? And it's like, they're going to be really fucking big shoulders, and they're going to be really fucking broad shoulders. And they're, understand also that, like, I am a man, dude. I'm going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And
100%.
so are you. And so are you. And welcome to fucking life.
Well, I think, being men today, that's one thing that when we sit together, we still talk about being in Fort Worth together.
Yeah.
We'll talk about tonight. And I think one thing that we need to do a better job as men is stop believing the lie that we have to take these things on alone. Stop. That's God literally tells you are not meant to do life alone.
Yep.
Adam was in a garden of perfection and still was like, something's missing.
Yeah, it is not.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just, we've got to remember that. And I'll be honest with you, I've seen such you see such a shift in society with divorces and the way dynamics happen and play out. And if you really see, it's because most women aren't alone. So, and this is just my experience. I'm not saying it's how it, but a man will focus. I would focus on my wife and kids and making it like that was my focus. Right. And so, yeah, I wasn't hanging out with friends all the time. And then they're still doing things. And what I'm saying is they're not wrong. Maybe we need to realize we have it a little more wrong, where we need to, like you said, we need to set a few more boundaries. And yes, you're a married man, but you still have to worry about this right here. Right. And iron sharpens iron. Yeah. And so many times we get doled down because we're supposed to be able to handle it all and do it alone. No, you're not. Right. That is the greatest lie.
Because there's a spiritual battle going on too. And like, as iron sharpens iron, like, why do you sharpen iron? There's utility behind it. And one of the greatest utilities over the course of time has been war. You know, like if you want to sharpen your buddy and make sure that they can also withstand the rain that you know is coming, like, you've got to be, you know, I've gone through so many wars and I've gone through some battles lately that, let's face it, like, I needed to be sharpened. I needed to not be dull in so many ways, and that takes community. Like, you have to open up, and it's hard because, you know, the difficult things that I have been facing have pushed me to isolate, and I know what that feels like now. I really know that isolation is a weapon against you, and you're the one doing it. Yeah. So the best thing that you could do is get yourself around people who are going to pour more hope into you, pour more Christ into you, pour more time and love into you, and sit with you and walk with you, because that's the God that I serve, is one that came, cried with us, walked with us, showed us a way, and ultimately thrived in community with us, healed us, stepped in where we were lacking, and ultimately served us. And that to me, talking about hope, like, that gives me hope. That brings me out of isolation. That reroutes my life and changes me as a man, and reshapes my thought of legacy. Like, I don't chase after legacy anymore, because to me it's chasing after the wind. We all have the same fate, except in Christ. Like, if you place your hope and your faith in Christ, that is more than placing your hope and faith in the next show you play, and your career path, and who you aim to be, and exalting yourself. You exalt yourself, you will be humble. You humble yourself, you will be exalted. Like, everything is so flip-flop to me in my life, having that belief in God, and that solidifies who I am as a man, even if I fail. You know, I think that is my understanding of purpose. It's about as well-rounded. My purpose is to serve a God who teaches me to serve everyone else around me, right, and to love. To be useful. Truly, there's no greater love that a man should lay down his life for his friends.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, what is the most that you could possibly ever give somebody on this planet is the life that you could live for them, and the life that you could die for. You give your life for them. And that was laid out in the narrative that, you know, Jesus walked with us, talked with us, died for us, and more. And so, you know, regardless of my failures, of who I become as a person, you know, whether I rise to the occasion or I don't, is somewhat meaningless to me. I mean, you know, our kids sit back and they watch who we are, and they watch our failures and who we become, the greatness that we imagine that we become, but ultimately they're going to end up in situations that are going to shatter them as people. And what they choose, they can choose to become the light and the salt of this earth and the meek who will inherit the earth, or they could choose to delve into darkness and identify, point to themselves and themselves only and say, me, I did this. No, you didn't. You borrowed from a loving God to get what you got. That's what happened. And so I think that the purpose for me is found in humility, and that's how I'm deciding to live my life currently, if any of that makes sense. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Well, I think where you're, if people will get real with themselves, sometimes you can just ask yourself, where are you most afraid to fail? And that'll tell you where your heart's at.
Ooh.
I'm most afraid to fail as a dad, period.
Sure.
So that tells me what my number one priority in interaction is on this earth right now. If it was to fail at business, it just shows you automatically that is where you spend the most time with your thoughts. It just is. Where are you most afraid to fail? If you will literally just ask yourself that, you will often see where your focus is in life.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, and it's not because, I don't have that fear because I am failing. No, but that is what I do not want to let happen. And so with everything that I do, so I'm approaching my business understanding that it's not going to be at the sacrifice of the time with my boys.
Right.
So I make every game that they have. It doesn't matter. If it's in the middle of a work day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I've built a life and a business where I can make those things happen.
Right.
And so it's just, I think that it's a very easy indicator to where your focus is, and that doesn't mean that's where it always is, but it'll show you where it is in that moment. What's your greatest fear?
Wow.
So
Yeah, agreed. I think there's a lot to be said about that, especially, that's got a lot to do with, integrity, and that's, basically like, what you do when no one's watching, the way you conduct yourself.
yeah,
And the standard you hold yourself to. I mean, you can't hold someone to one standard and then hold yourself to another, and I think that's, definitely one of those things that speaks to me, man. It's just like, what do I want to be, man? I want to be useful.
yeah,
I want to be the kind of person who, like, who will, I'll never stab you in the back. I'll stab you in the fucking heart. I'll tell you, I'll stare
Face to
straight
face.
in your fucking
Good
face.
old headbutt.
And be like, listen, man. Listen, man. Because I only want that in return.
Yeah.
It's a two-way fucking street.
Yeah.
If you feel like I'm fucking up, man, like, goddamn, let me know. Jesus,
Yeah.
let me know. Please. And,
Well, and that's biblical.
right.
It says to go to that person.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what doesn't happen anymore. It's like, you're so great. And I was just hanging out. It's just crazy. They're like, what
Right.
are you doing? Like, and the deal is in that moment, the person doing that literally thinks that the person that they just walked away from is the one with the issue. Wait,
Right.
what?
Right.
And that's how twisted things get. I mean, I guarantee you we've all experienced the same thing, and it's this right here. Someone had a preconceived notion about you, and it's very easy in Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
They had a preconceived notion about you, then they had interaction with you, and you heard this phrase right here: "You're just nothing like I thought you would be." Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
I wish I could say that's true. My problem is that I don't think I've ever met anyone who's had enough fucking sack to say that they heard something bad about me, sadly. I would love that. Welcome that. Yeah, put that in the chat, Right. Put all the bad things you've heard about me in the chat.
I mean, if you guys want to go viral, I'll say the same thing. Well, trust me. Yeah. The keyboard warriors are getting fired up right now. Here we go.
We're just good. We're honest, and we always will be honest, So we hope that whoever decides to watch this kind of enjoys the ride along with it and knows that we're speaking from the heart and not because we have to. And this is all as genuine as going through this process of figuring out how to do it together. But that's what life's about. We don't have to go about this alone. And there are people in your life that you can meet for 5 seconds sometimes, and it feels like you've known them for your whole life. And we've been lucky enough.
Reasons and seasons.
And I'm like, wait, where are we going? I just knew that we were going to the studio. And they're like, oh, I'm staying at my friend's house. And that's all the piece that we needed for that. It's like, okay, you're my brother. I trust you. Right. We're gonna be good together. And we all have stories from the little bit of time that we have all spent together, face to face. And it's been good. It's been growth, because we created that kind of fellowship. And that's one of the things we talked about that first night is just how important it is to have that fellowship of brotherhood. And it doesn't have to be religious. I know we've talked about that a lot tonight, but it's whatever you want to believe. We talk about principles of life, and what you believe is what you believe, but that's what makes it also beautiful is that you can believe different things, And if we go around and we talk, like, even within, like, most of us are of the Christian faith and everything too, but we come from different sides of it and different beliefs, but you don't catch us sitting here and saying you're wrong, because as soon as you're saying you're wrong, you self-implode almost, because all you're looking at, it's like that. We'll use religion as a thing. It's that person that you go to church and they always have something to say about somebody. Well, it's because they're never looking in the mirror at themselves. If you look in the mirror at yourself and you say, okay, I am this. I got a scratch on my arm and that's who I am. I'm going to show up for it. I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to have no regrets about it, but I'm going to be the best I can about it. You apply that into athletics. It's like, yeah, Michael Jordan was sick for this game. Did that make him greater? He's the same person the whole time. We choose to rank that level of, oh, well, they ran it in this amount of time with only this. Like, yeah, you can create your own story, but at the end of the day, you create your own destiny.
Well, at the end of the day, it's kind of how we discussed where you have to worry about you, because at the end of the day, this is just the truth. If you try to tell me I'm wrong for following Jesus, you are never going to win that with me.
Right.
But this is the deal. But I don't need to convince you. Right. That's the difference. I don't need to convince you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna. It's like Jesus not going back to Nazareth. I don't need to convince you. Yeah. And you're never going to convince me of the opposite. So, like you said, instead of worrying about that and being right, like, just stand on something. And if you're going to stand on it, stand on it.
Yeah, those are your principles.
Like, do not be rocked. Like, if you really say that is a core and that is your principle, that should mean that it doesn't matter what comes. It's not going to blow you over.
Yeah.
Like, you also have to live like that.
Also understand that, like, the speed of relationships is 3 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Because that's the average speed people walk. So, you can't
keep up. Let's go to Home Depot, baby. Well,
if people would stop worrying about what they have in common.
Yeah.
Are they this political party or this political party? Man. Are they Christian or are they not? If they would just understand at the end of the day, like, when we came together at my house, did you guys bring resumes? You know what I'm like? It's ridiculous.
I did.
Like,
my cover letter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
did you do a background
just
check on
get to know each other.
Like,
and I guarantee you, if we look at our upbringing and things they're all drastically different.
Right.
But yet we come together and it's amazing things happen.
Yeah.
And the world is forgetting that. The division is insane. And so I think this is even a great example of leading as men, of coming together and showing that, hey, We don't all walk the same. We don't all talk the same. We don't always have the same experiences. But that means we can learn from each other.
Certainly.
So I think people need to remember that when they're interacting with people.
Yeah. Well, with that, I think it's been a very good time talking.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks for being guest number one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You'll
Next time
definitely-
I'll bring like tacos.
We gotta come see you for tacos.
Yeah, I get a call tomorrow. Hey, you want to be on the second episode?
It airs.
He only wants me for my tacos. I'm tired of this.
It films tomorrow at 6. Bring wines.
Exactly.
Well, I will say Jerry's also the only person who's ever skinned a 40-year-old Jewish guy and showed up wearing it.
When I said Merry Christmas, he said Happy Hanukkah. I was like,
He got that Chewbacca 25 on, boy.
I really just, it's that time of season, and I had Gray shave my back, and I was like, let's just make it into a coat. Just dye it a little bit. I mean, I'm the one fucking everybody over because you're like, that's nice. I'm like, this dude's petting my back hairs.
I was hoping there was pubes.
Right, exactly. What was that? Did you guys ever see that Jackass episode where they made the beard up?
Oh, no.
And he was like, it keeps getting in my mouth. I was like, dude, I swear to God, I'd murder everybody. I'm going to prison. I'm going to die. That's where I crash out. I'm like, everyone. So just note in here, if you want to keep this relationship healthy, don't be pulling no pube beard bullshit.
Put it on my jacket.
Right? Make me a sweater. It's fine.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for
Yeah, man. It's been good. That's why when you invited me, I was like, yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, because I haven't had an in-depth conversation in the level that we were at that night since.
That was awesome.
And we all know that it just isn't the norm.
Yeah, dude. I've got a unique ability to be both a smart ass and a jackass. It's called the duality of man.
Yeah,
It's gonna be great.
that's exactly right.
But anywho, I appreciate you, brother. And
Absolutely.
such ends the very first podcast for the Downtown Royalty Podcast.
I mean, you started with me. I know what you're doing. It can only go up from here. Congratulations.
Appreciate you, man.
You got it, my man. Appreciate you guys.